going on, guys? This is the Entertainment Critic here, and welcome to what I want to be a review series. Obviously, as you know, I didn't reveal Series 12 as it was coming out, and I know I did that with Series 11. I did week-to-week reviews, which I wanted to do for Series 11, but I just got so far behind on university work that it just didn't end up happening. But I wanted to take some time and distance myself from the series before I actually came back and gave another opinion on it, because I know I've done, like, did Series 12 succeed? Reviewing the story arc of the Timeless Child. I've done all of that, but I wanted to do individual episode reviews, and I've been rewatching Series 12 through the fantastic Series 12 Steelbook recently. So I wanted to give my opinion on each episode, running from Spyfall Part 1 right the way through to the Timeless Children. I don't exactly know how long or how frequent this series is going to be. I do know how long it's going to be, about 10 episodes, but I don't know how long how frequent it's going to be. So it'll upload whenever I get around to uploading it. So this is going to be a review for just Spyfall Part 1. I tried to do it with both parts, but it comes out being a really long video, and I don't want it to be too long. So, without further ado, it's not for my rambling, I'll get right into it. So, Spyfall Part 1. It's something which, when I first watched it, I was blown back by it, and I felt it's an episode that is mostly carried by its reveal at the end of the episode. There was a lot of good stuff in between, but I feel a lot of the praise and hype this episode gets comes from what happens within the last 10 minutes. And don't get me wrong, what happens in the last 10 minutes is fantastic. But I don't think the episode fires on all cylinders all the way through the episode, like say something like Spyfall Part 2 does. Now, that is something you can argue. It's kind of like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, how they had Part 1, they had all of the setup. Part 2 was all of non-stop action, and that's kind of what I would say this was like. But there's quite a few good things to come out of Spyfall Part 1. Sasha Dewan, his performance was fantastic as O. And I just love how like his character and his name was O, and then what later gets revealed. I just thought that was brilliant. There are other characters, like Stephen Fry's character is interesting. He gets wasted. In the episode, they kill him off almost right away, but he was there, and I liked him. I liked the opening chase sequence that they did as well, where somebody hacks into the car that was taking the Doctor, Ryan, Graham, and Yaz to MI5. We don't know who it is at that point, and as soon as they get there, the Doctor thinks that it was Stephen Fry's character, who had actually done that, but it wasn't. It was somebody who later gets revealed. Now, I don't feel like, obviously I said, this episode completely wastes Stephen Fry. He was in it for, I think, about 5 minutes, and then he gets shot by someone. But I did like his interactions with the Doctor, and I feel like this is one of the few occasions where playing the Doctor's gender joke actually worked. It doesn't always work, but it worked in this situation. And we also get like little scenes at the start of the episode with Ryan, Graham, and Yaz with their family. Graham was getting a checkup on his cancer, and Ryan was with his friends during basketball. And it kind of sets up their arc throughout the season or series. Obviously Ryan's arc, I don't really know what it was supposed to be. Obviously he throws the basketball and he can't get it in, and that is later referenced in The Timeless Children. I don't know if that was supposed to be his character arc or what, but obviously Yaz's character arc was further picked up on, because we had she was with her police captain, and he's noticing that she's been going missing. I think they called it a sabbatical, and obviously she's been going traveling. And she says it helps, and she gets taken away by MI5 at that point. And Graham's character progression was the fact that he was getting a checkup on his cancer. And I feel like that could be rebrought back up in Revolution of the Daleks, which is the upcoming holiday special, which I'm excited for. But yeah, as soon as they get to MI5, they find that something's going wrong with the spies. Something's rewriting their DNA. And that is an interesting concept, and I do really like how this episode, basically it plays like a James Bond movie. It's very mysterious, it doesn't reveal its hand until way later on, but it's well paced for part 1. If you put this as an episode on its own anywhere else, it wouldn't work, obviously, because it's a two-part story. But there are some instances where I say part one of a story would work on its own without having the rest of the story. So episodes like Utopia, um, Turn Left, there were even Ascension of the Cyberman to an extent. Those episodes work on their own, without having anything to come after them. But this one doesn't really stand up on its own, and it's only made better by the fact that it's continued on by part two. So you could use that, say that's a bad thing, that's a good thing. It's well paced. I will say though, it is well paced. I did like how well paced it was. There are two different plots going on as soon as they leave MI5. So the Doctor and Graham both go to Australia to meet O, and then Ryan and Yaz both go to America to meet up with Daniel Barton, which was Lenny Henry's character. Now the Daniel Barton stuff does tie in because he's working with these aliens that are working with this mysterious figure throughout the episode, and we get to believe that he's behind it, but he's not. He's just a pawn of someone bigger. We find out in an interview, which Ryan almost completely gave away that they were there undercover, but we find out that he's not 100% human. He somehow has control of the entire internet, and he has things. So it's basically one of those episodes where technology tries to take over the Earth. They use technology against humans. It's a trope that goes throughout science fiction, and I don't really enjoy it that much, but it works for the episode. And once they start investigating him, and once he leaves, they go into his office and find all of this information out. Which is where Yaz actually gets kidnapped by one of the creatures. And meanwhile, in Australia, the Doctor and Graham are also being attacked by these creatures. They manage to capture one of them. And we actually get to see just how much defense O actually has. And you slowly get hints throughout the episode that he's not all that he seems, which does come to a head by the end of the episode. We see all of the technology have his excuses. He's been building it up over the years. I don't buy it on rewatch. Obviously, I know what happens, but it's not as believable if you're not watching it for the first time. It's one of those episodes that works really well on the first viewing, but it kind of like, oh yeah, I know that's gonna happen as you watch it and rewatch it. So I'd say the surprise, while good, doesn't work after your first viewing. Whereas, say in Utopia with the Master reveal, that is a reveal that works no matter what the circumstances are. So I just say that I don't think it works outside of if you're watching it for the first time. So meanwhile Ryan and Yaz, before Yaz got kidnapped, had actually received tickets to go to, or they'd received an invite to go to Daniel Barton's birthday party, because he said, listen, if you want to find out who I am, what I'm about, come to my birthday party. There are people there that know me. So they end up going, and I really love the scene where they all go, and the Doctor just shows up. It's like, the name's Doctor. The Doctor. It really embraces the James Bond aesthetic, and I love it. The scene at the party is fantastic too. There's a bunch of different games that you play in the casino there. I don't exactly know the names of all of them. The Doctor was playing a card game, but she was playing it like it was Snap. So she was getting card, and she gets finally decided the same, just goes snap. And then you got Yaz with O, and she rolls the dice, and she thinks, oh my god, did I win? And he just turns around, it's like, no. And I did like how there were scenes that felt like O was actually flirting with Yaz, and that is something that I would like to see picked up on if the character comes back, because there was something there, and I'll get into like stuff around O in a second. But they go on a chase after the Doctor confronts Daniel Barton. A really well choreographed chase scene where they chase him through a cornfield, which comes to a head at, I think it's his private airport or a private hangar. They think he's getting onto a plane, but it's later revealed that he didn't actually get onto the plane. And by the time they realize what's going on, O slips up. He accidentally says something that doesn't add up to his story, and the Doctor catches onto it, and that's where he reveals himself. He reveals himself to be none other than the Master. Now, when I first watched this, I thought this was brilliant, and Sashi Dhawan's performance, even with knowing what the surprise is still fantastic. I love Sashi Dhawan as the master. The surprise is what's ruined because it's something that, like I said, only works on the first time watching. But the way he plays it is still perfect. I love it. And the episode actually ends off on a cliffhanger of the Doctor being taken by these aliens and put into their little pocket dimension, and Ryan, Grain, and Yaz all being on the plane, and they're crashing. While the Master has been safely teleported away onto his TARDIS, which is surprisingly shaped like a house. We actually find out that that is actually his TARDIS. Its exterior is not like a police box. It's not. It's a house. It's strange, but it works. But yeah, the episode ends off on them crashing towards Earth. The Doctor's in the parallel dimension. What the hell's gonna happen? I love this cliffhanger. It's so well done. Spyfall Part 2 does pick up on it really well. But yeah, that's Spyfall Part 1. And I have to say, I do enjoy this episode. There was a lot of redeeming factors about it. But like I said, one of the things that replaces the surprise don't exactly work after watching it the first time, whereas some of the surprises you still feel that, oh my god, it's a next sensation in some other instances. But it just doesn't feel like that for me. Sashi Dhawan, fantastic. Jodie Whittaker, she is the Doctor at this point. I love it. The only downside I'd say is tossing call Ryan. I don't feel like his acting is the best. It could be a lot better. I'm not really a fan of Ryan. He had a good character arc. Don't get me wrong. His and Graham's character arc in Series 11 was great, but he should have left after Resolution. He had no reason to be there. And by now after watching Series 12, he has no reason at all to be there in Series 12. He's just there as dead weight. The only person that really justifies being there is Yaz. Ryan and Graham could have left in Resolution, but they stick around. So yeah, Spyfall Part 1, it's a mixed bag. I really do enjoy a lot of it, but there are some negative factors that kind of hold it back from being great. So I'm going to give it a rating of 7 out of 10. It's not great, amazing, but it's still good. And it's nowhere near being bad. It's nowhere near the lows of Series 11. So, yeah, that was my review of Spyfall Part 1. Let me know what you guys thought of Spyfall Part 1 in the comment section below, and subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.